Welcome to the channel. In this channel we're going to look at trophies in the British, European and international football events that may now have disappeared from our game. This could be due to lots of reasons. It can be for lack of interest, financial reasons, have been rebranded under a new name, or another trophy has been brought out and supersedes it. In this episode we are going to look at the European Cup Winners Cup, which was a trophy that ran from 1961 until 1999. If you haven't already, guys, please could you subscribe to the channel, as it helps with the YouTube algorithm, and it is completely free. You don't have to pay for anything. If you like the video, can you give us a thumbs up and hit that notification bell so that when I drop a new video, you know when it comes out. The European Cup Winners Cup was a premier European trophy that was designed for the national cup winners of European states. So like the FA Cup in England, the Scottish FA Cup in Scotland, the Copa del Rey in Spain, and the Coupe du Monde in France. Each nation could enter one team per year, so very seldom did teams actually get to go on two successive tournaments. It was won by 32 different teams, with a number of teams winning it on multiple occasions. Barcelona were the outright winners. They won it 4 times. Chelsea, AC Milan, Dinamo Kiev and Anderlecht won it twice each. The rest of the teams won it once. There were also 19 teams that played in a final that did not win the tournament. Real Madrid and Austria Vienna were 2 teams that played twice in the final and lost both of them. The first tournament took place in the 1960-61 season. There were 10 clubs. All had won their respective countries' cup final. They were drawn out of a hat, so they played each other, home and away, and obviously, like the European Champions League or European Cup, one with the highest aggregate goes through. In this tournament, if there wasn't anyone that had the highest aggregate, if they drew 1-1 at both home and away, then there was a single match playoff. It was the only final that was ever played over 2 legs, and the first final was between the Italian Cup winners Fiorentina and Glasgow Rangers from Scotland. Fiorentina won 4-1 on aggregate. The first team to go through using a playoff system was in the 1962-63 tournament between Bangor City of Wales and Napoli of Italy. Napoli won 2-1 at home and lost 3-1 away, and therefore they had to have a playoff, which Napoli won 2-1 in the end. Tottenham Hotspur were the first British team to win a European trophy. They won in 1963 by beating Atletico Madrid of Spain 5-1 on aggregate. The first team to go through on the toss of a coin was in the 1963-64 season. It was in the first round between Lask of Austria and Dinamo Zagreb from Serbia. Both teams won 1-0 at home. Then they had a neutral ground playoff which ended in 1-1, and Zagreb won by the toss of a coin. Does sound a little bit draconian, but that's how matches were done at the time in the mid-60s, when UEFA hadn't sanctioned the away goals rule. The first away goals rule game was in 65-65, when Budapest Honvéd of Hungary and Dukla Prague of the Czech Republic ended in 4-4. Honvéd lost 3-2 away to Dukla Prague, and Dukla Prague won 2-1 at home, 2-1 away. So therefore, because Honvéd scored 3 goals away from home, they were deemed the winners and went through on the away goals rule. As you know, UEFA banned the away goals rule in 4 years ago, so that now it's just straight knockouts. In 1967, Glasgow Rangers became the first British club to appear in 2 European finals. Unfortunately, they came up against Bayern Munich, who were just starting to dominate Europe and German football, with players like Franz Beckenbauer, Sepp Maier and Gerd Müller in their team. And Bayern Munich won 1-0. The second British team to win a European trophy was West Ham United. They won in 1966 after a 2-0 win. In 1969, the Polish team Górnik got to the final on the toss of a coin in their semi-final. It was the first time that a team had got to the final via a toss of a coin, and it was also the last time that the toss of a coin was used in a European club match. Unfortunately, they played Manchester City in the final and they lost 2-1. It is their only final actually for both clubs, because Manchester City didn't appear in the Cup Winners' Cup final again, and neither did Górnik. The 1970-71 tournament was the last final that had a replay. It was between Chelsea from England and from Real Madrid from Spain. They drew 1-1 in the first match. 2 days later, Chelsea beat them 2-1. It was the third final that had gone to a replay. The first final was in 61-62 and the second one was in 63-64. There's not been a replayed final since. In the 1971-72 season, Rangers became the first European club in European Cup Winners' Cup history to appear in 3 finals, also became the first British club, and this time they did win. They won 3-2 in Barcelona, beating Spartak Moscow. It was also where the record aggregate score was set in this tournament, the 71-72 season. In early tournaments, there were quite a few large scores, and we'll get to that a bit further on into the video. But Chelsea won on aggregate 21-0 against Luxembourg side Jeunesse Chaga. They won 13-0 at home and 8-0 away. In 1972-73, AC Milan became the first team to win the European Cup Winners' Cup twice when they beat Leeds United from. In 1976, Anderlecht from Belgium became the first team between 1976 and 1978 to appear in 3 successive finals. They won in 76, they lost in 77, and they won again in 78. They lost to Hamburg in 1977. No team in European Champions Cup Winners' Cup history won 3 finals on the row. Apart from Anderlecht, they were the only team to reach 3 finals on the row, and no team ever defended the trophy. Quite a few teams actually got to 2 successive finals. They may have won one and lost the other one, or lost and then won, but no team ever defended the title. In 1979-80 season, this was the only time that a penalty shootout was used to define the winners of the European Cup Winners' Cup final. This final was between Arsenal and Valencia of Spain. It drew 0-0 after full time. They were still drawing 0-0 after full time, so it went to a penalty shootout. Valencia won 5-4 on penalties after each team took 6 penalties each. The tournament was rebranded when the European Union rebranded the Champions League in 1993, and it went from being called the European Cup Winners' Cup to the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup. It was called this until it was abandoned and dropped from the calendar in 1999. The last winners were Lazio of Italy, so theoretically Lazio are still European Cup Winners' Cup holders. It was disbanded due to the wane in teams wanting to get there, because the UEFA had expanded the Champions League. There were now more clubs and more clubs going into that. The winners of the FA Cup from the respective countries probably finishing 2nd or 3rd in their league, so they were getting direct entry into the Champions League. The runners-up were invited, but lots of runners-up didn't want to go. UEFA did decide at one time to increase the numbers from 32 to 64, as offering a second team. But these rules about the qualification criteria and the rules of putting into place were never divulged to the public, so it was something that was never ever thought of being happening. A number of coaches actually won the European Cup, Cup Winners Cup on 2 occasions, and Alex Ferguson became the first British coach to do that when he took Manchester United to the 1991 Cup Winners Cup final and beat Barcelona 2-1. He'd also won with Aberdeen in the early 1980s. So like I said, UEFA decided at the end of the 1998-99 edition would be the last. It would be merged into the UEFA Cup, which is now the Europa League. So as I said, Lazio were the last winners and are still holders of the cup. As you can see from this graphic, Barcelona won 4 titles and lost 2. Anderlecht had won 2 and lost 2. Milan had won 2 and lost 1. And Leeds and Dinamo Kiev had both won 2. You've got Atletico Madrid, Rangers and Arsenal both being in the final 3 times but winning once and losing twice. And Fiorentina, West Ham, etc. have won 1 and lost 1. So you've got other clubs like SV Hamburg and Ajax and Sampdoria and Parma and Paris Saint-Germain all going into 2 finals, winning 1 and losing 1. And a number of clubs that have won just once. And a number of clubs that have just got to the final on 1 occasion and lost. So on this graphic, it's showing you the nation, how many times they've won it, how many times they've been runners-up. So as you can see that England have appeared 13 times in the final and won 8 and lost 5, where Spain have been there 14 times and won 7 and lost 7. Germany have got a losing record. 11 times they've been in the final and 5 times they've won and 6 times they've lost, all the way down to Austria with 3 defeated finalists, Hungary 2 and Poland 1. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, 4 managers or coaches, whatever you want to call them, these days have won the Cup Winners' Cup twice. Nero Rocco won it twice with AC Milan, as did Valery Lobanovsky, won it twice with Dinamo Kiev. Johan Cruyff won it with Ajax and Barcelona, and Alex Ferguson won it with Aberdeen and Manchester United. Lobo Carrasco of Barcelona is the only player to have won 3 European Cup Winners' Cup winners' medals. So guys, we're going to go and wrap this video up now. I hope you've enjoyed this little brief discussion on what the European Cup Winners' Cup was all about. If you've liked it, please subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, like I said at the beginning of the video. It's just a free algorithm to help the channel along. Hit that thumbs up button and hit the notification button and click all notifications. So if you've liked what you listened to today, there'll be a couple of videos on screen in a moment if you take a look at those, but there are quite a few videos on my channel. So until next time, take care and see you in the next one.